This is the first live version of my Sunday Dispatch, and I have been working on setting up a new studio setup now for quite some time, but quite invested in the process today. So hopefully this is all coming through as it should, and I am very excited to bring my Sunday Dispatch to live stream because I've been working on writing a series of essays for the last year and a half, and I started to carve out a Sunday Dispatch essay series over the last several months, and this today is the first Sunday that I'm like, oh, actually I should just go live. So here I am. And it's especially significant because it's International Human Rights Day, and I was going to write an essay on human rights, except for that I found myself just fiddling around with setting up the studio. So about 2 hours ago I was like, oh yeah, obviously go live, duh. So yeah, so here I am. And I had written an essay, I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 months ago now, about housing as a human right, and the fact that housing is becoming increasingly inaccessible to a lot of folks, and of course my direct experiences in the United States, but it's, you know, it's affecting people across the globe, and it's a critical issue, and it's a very critical issue at the time when climate is changing and we're experiencing more extremes in the outdoor environment, and we need shelter. We need the built environment to shelter humans. So I'm like, I'm just very pleased that I've decided to kind of like the confluence of me getting my studio to this point where I can live stream and then also like bring in these elements all on this day is very sweet for me. So thank you for joining. If you have joined into this live stream, or if you have joined after when it's posted and in various formations, I guess. I am still kind of fishing about how I go about this particular space, so bear with me. Right. And the idea too here, so I actually, so the studio space that I'm working on is actually a bar, a studio bar, a broadcast studio bar. So I had thought of making a space where I can actually work on cocktails and drinks and get better at learning the whole International Bartenders Association list of cocktails, the official list, and then just, you know, work on it at home and be able to showcase what I'm working on from my studio bar. And you know, today it's kind of been a day of like bringing all of that together into one coherent form. So I've got, of course, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Sustainable Cities and Communities, SDG 11, Sustainable Development Goals, and my French martini. So that's how it all comes together today. Yeah, so. And the intention also is to make this like a space where it just becomes a place to hang out and chat. And I think that's kind of hard for me because I always want to just kind of get through the live stream. I get a little bit nervous, and then hanging out and chatting it's hard for me. So anyway, here's what I have to say about housing as a human right and affordable housing. And the city where I live is a college town in the United States, one of the what do they call themselves? Part of the Big Ten network, one of the one of the bigger public universities across the nation, and so there is a pretty solid student population here, and all of the housing, all of the rental housing, maybe not all, but like 98% of it is geared towards getting students into that housing. And the way that they've evolved how they build the housing is that they have 2 and 3 and 4 bedroom apartments that aren't they're not meant for families, they're meant for individual adults to share that space. And not that there's anything wrong with that, that's actually a pretty effective way, an efficient way to share space. But what it's done to the rental market is kind of enforce this idea that rental units are for each room, each bedroom in a rental unit is for an individual adult who has some income attached to that person, in which case then the rents go up because they're thinking of it's not just one income earner or 2, it's potentially 3 or 4 per household. And so 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments are now going for several $1,000s. Like, it's not actually unheard of to find apartments for rent for $4,000 a month, because they're thinking of each of those rooms are being rented to someone that can turn around some money to the landlord. And as a single parent, that presents a problem. And so I've been living in my apartment now for 12 years, almost 12 years, and in the last couple of years they've raised the rent $250 a year for the last 2, and which is now, of course, compelling me to make some strategic decisions about my housing, of course, which is fine. But what is unfortunate about it is, like, it's sooner than we need it to be as a family. Like, my kids, I raised my kids here, they went through middle school and high school here in the city, and now they're in college, and now I'm trying to manage sending my children to college in a college town that doesn't want people like me to live here, because if they did, they would make it easier, but they don't. It's so that is why I get on my horse and say housing is a human right, because it is. It's like, we need the housing, we need the built environment to shelter us from the elements, we need to be able to afford our housing, we need to be able to afford a basic housing for our families, whatever that family status type is, it doesn't matter. We need to be able to afford housing for our families, not to be completely atomized as individuals that, sociologically speaking, like, I think that what we're witnessing now is like this hard shift into the idea that if you have built environment, you should be able to pay for that no matter what. Even if you're, well, I don't know. I'm kind of wading into murky water there because I haven't really articulated those theories or ideas just yet, so let's just stop right there and keep going on to this idea of sustainable cities. And sustainable cities have affordable housing, and they have housing for the workforce, they have housing for families, they have housing for all the different parts of society that make up a society and a community. And what does that mean in the United States? I don't really know. I know that a lot of people are, really struggling with this, and so I'm just going to default to talking about SDG 11. This is a little pamphlet from United Nations Habitat, and they just kind of rounded up some facts. This is a little bit dated because I collected this probably about 4 or 5 years ago, but it's still pretty relevant. And so by 2030, it is estimated that by 2030, some 700 cities will have populations of over 1 million people, with two-thirds of humanity living in cities and other human settlements. Like over 2/3 of how many people do we have now? It's like 6+ billion people. It's a lot of people living in cities. So yeah, affordable urban housing matters. And adequate housing, not slums, because there's a lot of slums that go on in the world too. So yeah, over the past 50 years, housing prices in high-income countries increased 3 times more than the price of other basic services. In Africa, urban residents pay 55% more for housing than in other regions. So, it's an issue. It's an issue. What does it cost to build affordable housing? As I am not a developer, I don't quite know all the details of what it costs to build affordable housing. I do know that because there are a lot of requirements to make new construction like state-of-the-art sustainable, that it can actually get pretty pricey, and that's part of the problem. Unfortunately, like we've got, while we're trying to strive to achieve one goal, we, lack in another. So, it's a bit of a quandary. So how we go about achieving new sustainable housing that's meeting these different requirements and also making it cost effective enough that it remains affordable is a challenge. And that's something that we need to prioritize as a society, not just leaving it to the developers to foot the bill or figuring out how to do these things. Like, we need to figure this out as a common goal for our societies, as a nation, as nations, because that's how we function as nations. So, from that federal level to the local level, we need to prioritize this in a way that makes it affordable to construct and affordable to live in. So, it's my soapbox for my Sunday dispatch. Tee-hee. And that's, what all the French Enlightenment was about, was freedom and liberty and equal rights and human rights and having a sense of social responsibility and regard. And I believe that that's still true. That's what we should be striving for. And so that's why I toast it with a French martini. And that's what I've got to say on this International Day of Human Rights. And that there is, for instance, a Declaration of Human Rights. There is a Universal Declaration of Human Rights that applies to all peoples. And in the preamble, whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. Like, that's how we build global peace. That's how we build a human society that is beneficial to all people. We ensure human rights and we fight for them, and we make it so that people have what they need, their basic needs are covered, so that they can then be the amazing human beings that they are. Like, what a miracle that we are at all, that we exist at all as human beings, doing these things that we do. Like, do you ever think about that? Like, how is it that we came to be these creatures that can do these things, these opposable thumbs, and these hands that can create and transform and morph and do all these things, and you can articulate it with language, thoughts, even get to know each other so well that we anticipate what the other person might think and say. It's quite incredible. Something to celebrate for sure. And that's what I try to do. And I think that I've gotten to a point where I am around a lot of people that are sad and frustrated and in some cases quite miserable even, and it's hard for me to remember what I was doing, like why I chose bartending as a way to make money, and largely because it's creativity and it's potentially a good income stream, and it's a lot of fun. I know, fun. And it would afford me, I mean, ideally, it would afford me the latitude to continue to work on these issues. And so I just found this while I was searching for the Declaration of Human Rights, and this is a fan, because it gets hot in New York, that I got at a Sustainable Development Forum that lists all the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, all 17 of them. It's just a cute little fan that has them all on there. And of course, today I'm talking about number 11 being the sustainable cities, but also, you know, they're all kind of fairly integrated, really. And I'm so glad I found this because I love this little fan. It's so cute. Yeah, I came home from New York a few years ago and realized that one of the best ways I could make fast money is to finally follow through on my goal, my life goal, I suppose, my life daydream is perhaps more like it, to bartend. And I got on a Greyhound bus to come back home, and while on the bus I emailed a local bar and set up an interview, and by the time I came home and went to the interview, I had a job as a bartender for the first time in my life. I just decided that was what I was going to do, and I love it. It's so good. It's so fun. And I've since moved on to my second bar since then, and I guess conceivably I could call it my third, but it's it's been a really good labor of love for me. And because I am who I am, I also want to master all the things, and so that's why I sought. So essentially I found the International Bartenders Association because I was looking for recipes and authoritative sources for recipes so that I could build some consistency at the bar, so that when I made a certain cocktail, I could then put that in the notes of like, this is how I went about it and this is how other bartenders could go about it, and he'll have some consistency across the board based on authoritative references for those recipes. And while doing that, I found this association that also has national chapters, and I was just so pleased to find the National Guild of Bartenders that I could join and find the camaraderie and the professionalism that I prefer, much to everyone's chagrin around me, because that makes me just a little bit of a nerd that insists on consistency that everyone else is just, I don't know, they're like, it's whatever. But what's also interesting about this whole endeavor is that because I have a lot of background in sustainability and natural resources, that I bring now that knowledge to bar operations. And that has been the most satisfying work I've ever done, because it's so practical and tangible, and it's so on the ground, making change, doing things that matter. Because in any bar or restaurant, you are using so many different resources and sourcing so many different things, and then turning out so much packaging that can be recycled, hopefully, and create, like, there's so many opportunities to create a better system, to create the better mousetrap, I guess is what people like to say. And that's incredible. Like, that's a way to really make a difference on the ground in the world. And the thing about sustainability is that you need to bring sustainability to everything, like all of the human operations, no matter what you're doing. Everything needs to be revised. All of it. Like, everything needs an editor. Everything that humans are doing needs to be revised. All of it. So, you know, pick something. Start there. Keep going. And just keep going. Like, keep doing the thing that you believe in, because it matters. It matters. It matters a lot. Even if very few people around you understand what the heck you're doing, it matters. And that's why it's important to find the people that do understand what you're doing and care about what you're doing, because it's lonely work. It can be very lonely work a lot of times to do the sustainability work, to do the grunt work of the sustainability work. It can be very lonely. And what I have to say about that is just do it anyway. Like, do it anyway, because it matters. And at some point, you become the person that's changing, that's driving the cultural change. And the cultural change is the hardest part. That is the hardest part of doing sustainability work, is the culture change and the behavior change. And the way to do it is to keep doing the thing no matter what. Just keep doing the thing that makes sense, because that's what we need to do for the planet, and that's what we need to do for our human societies. You just keep doing the thing. And at some point, people will realize you're right. And that they should be doing the thing too. And then you start to get, you start to convert people to the cause of sustainability. And at some point you get to the critical mass, and then that's the social change. That's the social change that we need. And that's how you do it. You get down in the trenches and you do the grunt work and you do the dirty work, whatever it is, and you make it happen. Because that's how it's going to that's how it's going to happen. Like, that's what we need to do. We need to just do the stuff that matters and keep doing it until there is that critical mass of the major changes, the major shifts and transformations in society. Because the time is nigh, if you haven't heard. If you didn't get the memo, things need to change, like right now. Right, like last Tuesday, 20 years ago, 40. Yeah, so this is my Sunday dispatch from this new little configuration I've created. And I think that I've been slowly working on producing a new show, so I think I will still do I don't know if I'll do it every Sunday, but like a periodically live stream Sunday dispatch. And then do another series of just making fun stuff, like pomegranate juice. I really love pomegranate juice. I love making it fresh. And so that will probably be one of the first things I do on this little bar top of mine that I've been diligently staining with, what is it? Golden pecan. Golden pecan colored stain that is very pretty to me, in my opinion. I like the color a lot. And I've got a few other wood furniture pieces that I'm going to refinish. Much to my surprise. Not that I'm complaining, because I am actually very excited to do that. I'm like, oh, my furniture can finally match, yay! After all these years. Yeah. So, tink tink. And that's it. So thank you for tuning in if you have tuned in to the live, and thank you for watching if you've tuned in to the post-production, and I hope to do some more live stream Sunday dispatches. The Sunday night dispatch, I think, is what it will become. Maybe not every Sunday, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I'll probably post some links below these videos wherever they're living, my essays and maybe a couple other things. And I really appreciate your attention and prioritizing of any of the things that I've just talked about, because it matters. And I hope that you are well in your world and do the thing that you want to do, because you know it's the thing that matters. Do the thing. Tink tink, is this thing on? Alright, I'll see you guys later. And let me figure out how to do this thing, this other thing. Oh my god. So many things. Alright, cheers.